Hello and welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's JP's first son, Tim Hoey. Well, we have a special opening day show for you tonight, boys. It's exciting time in Boston. The Red Sox started their season today in Texas. A great game, clean game. Wilyer Abreu, one of my favorite players of all time. He ends up getting two home runs. And remember,
Oh,
we have Christian Vasquez to thank for that for the William
hey,
Abreu.
Scotty, do you know what? Do you know what abreo means in Spanish?
What?
Uh, trade bait.
I know.
He
Well,
was
That's
trying
what
to
it
make
means to
room
you,
for his prospect, Roman Anthony.
Scotty. You
Whatever.
try to trade him 25 times over the
Russell,
offseason.
his value has never been higher than right now.
I was just thinking that today after the game. I'm like, what? I mean, we gotta. He has to pave the way
Whatever he
for
can do to
Roman
get
Anthony to
Roman
come.
Anthony up here, he's going to do it.
Oh my God,
No,
make
but
way for
look,
Roman.
we have to give props to Joe because Joe hates prospects no matter how much he
Yeah.
denies it. And we
Hmm.
wanted to trade for Crochet. We decided that of course in the package would have to go Abreu. And Uncle Joe said, no, prospect, you don't trade established guys when you can trade prospects. And that's exactly what they did. And Abreu paid off today.
Yeah.
Uncle Joe knows all.
Thank God you're not running the
Bird in the
show,
hand is
Scotty. That's
worth
all we can say.
two prospects down in the bushes.
Right. Look,
What a gorgeous swing on that home run.
yeah. Oh no,
I
yeah.
mean, that was just.
That ball
Okay.
carried and carried. It just,
First of all, it's
I
a
mean,
clean game. And Russell, it was a game that
Hmm.
Cora made all the right moves, and I thought the key guy
Hmm.
beyond Abreu was Whitlock.
Whitlock was the key to
yeah.
the whole game, right? He comes in, he gives you 2 innings, gets everybody settled down, and then put your closers, the two closer types in where they should be going.
Yeah.
are we going to see Chapman crack 100 this year? Or is he going to be 98,
Oh yeah, for
97?
sure.
Oh,
Yeah, once it warms up a little bit, of
oh,
course.
absolutely.
He
And
feels
Joe,
effortless. It's an effortless 98.
Mm,
oh,
yeah,
he's
I
such a
still
big
worry
He
about
guy.
looks
his
in
throwing
good
strikes,
shape.
though.
He's a
He
huge
is.
man.
He is a big. I was surprised how jacked he is. He's a
Oh
big
yeah.
boy.
Yeah, he's had some weird off this field stuff going on, but hopefully he keeps it he keeps it straight for 6 months. But Joe, it was a clean game defensively too, and we're not used to that in the last few years.
I know that's a welcome change. I like I like it when a ball is hit to the infield and you just forget about it. You know it's going to be an out, and I
Look, I
want
mean,
to see more of that.
look, the Red Sox are very young guys. They have young players. I mean, you're talking about the second-year guys. Slayton closes the game, and Abreu's the star of the game. Right there, just two second-year players. Duran's young. I mean, Campbell's young, obviously. Raphael is young. This is a young team.
How old is Bregman?
Bregman's what, 31?
Yeah,
And Story's in his 30s, right?
Yeah.
yep.
But Story's just, he's just renting space right now for Meyer to come. But
Stole a base, huh? Stole a base. I'm surprised he didn't tweak a hammy on that one.
Yeah,
but I think
I thought for sure he was going to come up limping.
well, yeah, it's actually Papa. No, what Jim Rice made fun of him after the game and said, he didn't steal any bases in spring training because he probably would have got hurt. So, I
Speaking of
mean,
spring training, Abreu had one hit in spring training.
1 for 20.
Well, he was sick
One
the
for
whole
20.
spring
Yeah,
training.
but one for 20. I mean,
This is a deep lineup. This is a lineup when I like a lineup when the 7 through 9 guys aren't automatic outs.
Hmm.
We had a lot of years, even the good teams, where 7 and 9 was just an abyss. But everybody brings something to the table in this lineup. Would you guys agree?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he
think so. I mean, you're going to need to.
except Evers. No.
You're going to need to see Wong. Wong had a hell of a year last year, but some of the advanced numbers suggested he had a lot of luck last year. So we'll see. Look, guys are going to slump. Um, Campbell is a rookie. It's going to take him a while probably to get going. But it's a good lineup. Those guys will hit over the course of the season.
yeah.
And they're athletic.
And Devers
Yeah, they're athletic.
had an OPS of over 850 5 years straight. I don't see that changing.
Guys, Devers is so
He'll
heavy
be
right
fine.
now.
It
He is.
doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter anymore if he's heavy. Poppy was heavy.
Yeah.
Don't care if he's playing DH. I don't care.
Still,
care.
I mean, at some point, I mean, Jesus, you have some pride in yourself. My God, he has an
Well,
ass
he
as big as
lost his. At least there
Guatemala.
were, but at least there were consequences for his inaction, right? Like he didn't come into camp in shape, and he lost his job at third base.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
right?
No, I agree. Yeah. And Crochet, how did Timmy? What do you think of Crochet today? Obviously, it's opening day, but navigated 5 innings, 2 runs. That's very good.
Scotty, I got to be honest. I have a job, and I didn't get to turn the TV on until his last inning.
You got
From what I saw.
That's on you, Timmy, for trying to earn a living. Joe, let's go to the retiree. What do you think of Crochet?
I thought his ball is very lively, especially that sinker slider thing. Really, it goes like a snake. But he didn't have the control he needed.
I mean, I'm sure he'll look back on this day and say that was a mediocre effort. But that's fine. I'll take mediocre. 5 innings, 2 runs is being mediocre is not so bad,
well,
right?
How often did we get that last year?
And the left side of the infield is defensively is well taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean,
hey, I don't want to like be the sour guy here, but boy, wouldn't Evaldi look good with the Red Sox shirt on?
Oh my God!
I still don't understand that.
They just let him walk away like it was
come back to the Sox, but I guess the Sox offered more money, but a shorter term.
Yeah,
more money AAV, but they wouldn't go the 4 years.
Look, I mean, like right off the bat, right when he was leaving, 2 years ago. How long ago did he leave?
3 years ago.
22.
3 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, they could have got him for kind of not a lot of money back then.
16.
Right?
16 a year.
16.
Yeah.
Now he's getting 25.
The guy is a professional ball player, man.
And he wanted to stay here.
Wanted to stay.
Yeah.
Knew what it was all about. Liked it.
How many opening days did he start for us? Like 3?
3. Yeah.
I mean, look, I like you, Timmy. You hate to go, but I'm just sitting there saying, here's a guy who pitched well in Boston, knew how to pitch well in Boston. I mean, I would rank the 3 holy trinity of starts in our recent lifetime were Pedro in that series when he wasn't supposed to pitch and he came in, he pitched lights out. Schilling with a bloody sock, and Evaldi with the game against the Dodgers. I mean, those are epic. Yeah. He pitched one of the top 3 games I've ever seen a Red Sox pitcher pitch.
Yeah. Came in, he gave like 6 innings out of nowhere.
8.
They just let him walk away like it was nothing.
Nothing. Heim should have been the personnel for the minor leagues. He was so ill qualified to be the general manager of
he really was
sports team. It was extraordinary. Though we have to give him props about this because Abreu was his deal with the Vasquez, and he nailed that one. I'll give him that one. I mean, that was a highway robbery that he got rid of. And ultimately, for the Astros, Vasquez was a backup catcher. Though they did win the World Series, he ended up being the backup catcher for the Astros. So that
he was a free agent this year. Did anyone pick him up?
I don't know. I think he has 1 more year left with the Twins. I think I may be wrong there. But a great deal. Look, the health is going to be a huge concern for the Red Sox because if these guys stay healthy, it looks like we have a team that MLB.com, for what it's worth, said the Red Sox and Dodgers will be in the World Series.
That would be fun. Yeah, Keith Law picked him to have the best record in the American League too, and he's no slouch.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
How many injuries could we afford though? I mean, do we have the depth to sustain some? Well, a couple guys are going down. It's just inevitable.
Timmy, I think the answer is it kind of depends on where. But look, we've got 2 guys in the minors, Mayer and Anthony, who could come up, and we got a couple of extra pitchers. We're going to see a couple of these guys pitch this week. Fitz and the other guy.
Finally, a little depth in the bullpen, huh?
We've got extra outfielders. We got Ref Snyder and Yoshida up here, and Anthony down there, and even Mayer is playing has played the outfield. So
if Story goes down, does Mayer come up?
Yes,
in a heartbeat.
Yeah, for sure.
And you'll never see Story again.
So
That will be
yeah,
it.
I mean, I don't think think deep lineup to Scotty's point, deeper pitching staff. I don't think. Do you think Chapman will be the closer at the end of this year?
No, I think they
I
don't.
don't either.
Yeah, I think they
I
want
think they get
Slayton.
somebody at. I think they get somebody at the deadline. If Slayton or Whitlock
Um,
emerge, that's one thing. If not, they'll get somebody at the deadline.
well, I noticed the core did give him the meat of the order 2, 3, 4, and 5
Yeah.
and set it up for Slayton.
Yeah. I don't think you want Whitlock closing. I think you want Whitlock doing
Hmm.
exactly what he did every
The
sixth,
bridge
seventh
man.
inning. That's what
Yeah.
where he pitches.
Yep.
Just open the bullpen door in the sixth inning and he'll go through it.
What was the best way we had? Timlin in the eighth, and was it Papelbon in the ninth?
Yep.
Well, I mean,
Hey, by the way, is that Papelbon in the post game show? Who's the guy?
Yeah.
Who's the?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
Papelbon,
Papelbon.
yeah.
He's been on for the last couple of years.
yeah.
It shows you how much. I think, guys, I got to be honest. That might have been more Red Sox I just watched than I did all last year.
No, well, and I understand it, Timmy. The last few years have been very dark, and they haven't been trying to win. Almost admittedly, haven't been trying to win.
I was doing like my own little protest. I didn't want to help their ratings. I didn't want to help anything. I was.
I think the Bregman sign
And they listened to him.
changed
They listened
everything.
to him.
The Crochet deal did not change everything. The Bregman deal changed everything. For how the perception and the team for the Red Sox. Would you guys agree?
Well, one move. Talk about it often. One insertion. One pitcher, one guy in the field just puts everyone into the position they're supposed to be in versus everybody up one more than they should be, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but also, again, when you pay somebody, you're telling the whole minor league system, you're telling the mayors and the Anthony's, look, you guys do well, we'll pay you too. You won't have to go to another team to get paid. And by paying Bregman all this money, set the tone again. They were the Boston Red Sox, and
Yeah, they had basically waved the white flag and said, "We're not paying stars anymore."
well, you trade Mookie Betts, and that's what it's been, right? It's been
Yeah.
years of this bullshit. And it's had to change, and it has. And this is where we should be moving forward. But your point, Russell, look, 3 guys right now, Giolito, Crawford, and Bayo are hurt. And
Yeah, we still have a starting staff, right?
yeah, we're not crying about the
staff.
staff right now. So right now you got those 5 plus 3. You have 8 guys who can start again legitimately in the major leagues.
Yeah.
When's the last time you had that?
Is Giolito a starter?
Yeah.
Giolito,
Is he good?
Well,
I mean, he was. He coming back from Tommy John, so
yeah,
he was above average pitcher, Tim, to your point.
So he could be a very good starter then.
yeah.
he could be. He's probably a third starter.
How far away is he from making an appearance?
Couple weeks.
Those hamstrings, who knows what goes on with them? They
Yeah, he doesn't have to run the bases or anything. The dude just has to pitch. So
And
yeah,
don't
but
depend
you're
on Hendricks.
stretching it out in that windup.
Don't depend on Hendricks. It's a nice story, and God bless him. The guy, he has stage 4 cancer and stuff. I'm glad he took John Henry's money. They put him on the DL today. You're never going to get him to pitch for the Red Sox. So he's not in their plans. Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it.
But look, they have depth, and they also have a lot of guys in the minor league system that are duplicate skill sets. That if they want to trade to acquire some guys deadline or in the next few months, they can do that.
Mm-hmm. It was fun to see Campbell get his first hit. Right, it was a little shaky. It wasn't exactly a clean hit, but it was fun
like
to see
a kid. Little league will get his first hit almost.
Did you see him looking at the? Did you see him looking at the scoreboard, seeing if it was a hit or an error? He kept looking.
And
up
he's looking. Do you
up.
want me to stay here? Do you want me to come in? I mean, he looked. It was fun.
That's fun, right?
That's
fun to me. I mean, I love that rookie stuff. That brings.
It looked like the excitement, like a real kid. You know what I mean? It was fun to see.
What was the story Maloney was telling on the TV that he asked Cora who his roommate was going to be in Texas? And Cora had to tell him, he's no roommate's kid.
Yeah,
Aaron Hernandez. No.
Look,
that's great.
I think this is going to be a fun team, personality-wise too. I think a lot of players are going to stand out, and good old Tristan is not going to stand out at all unless he plays well. And thankfully for all of us, he will not be the story off the field, I don't believe.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I just don't. I just want that guy to play baseball, put a good
You know,
year in.
But get 150 games under his belt.
I was listening
Exactly.
to the radio today, and they said, you know what? With his personality, if he produces, he might be fun to have around. But if he doesn't produce, people are going to start looking at him funny.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly right. It would be like if Gronk was crappy. Like no one would have loved Gronk's personality if Gronk was just a B player.
If he dropped a couple of big passes in the wrong time.
Yeah, great point. Yeah.
Or he was injured and it took forever to come back. Like there's a fine line between sort of an iconoclast and a freaking weirdo who no one wants around. Do you know what I'm saying? And that the difference is 25 plus home runs, Tristan. So go hit those.
I'll tell you
this. Can take your shoes off.
The best, I won't name names, but the best player on my college hockey team, this kid was a phenomenal scorer. I mean, records everywhere. He used to wear his street clothes to the game and put his equipment on over his clothes. Go out and play a game, take the equipment off, and we'd go out like to a bar.
Oh God!
But he had scored 4 goals in the game, so no one gave a shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but no one stood next to him at the bar.
And if he didn't score, Timmy, he'd be the smelly guy at the bar.
Yeah. Instead, he was there. I want him on my line. You know what I mean?
That's great. Look, I thought Casey made a nice play at first for the double play. I thought it was solid defensively, and that was things last year. He was horrific in every part of the baseball, but he's slow. There's no way. How many major leaguers would not have beat that out? No, that was just pathetic. But it was fun, and I've said this for many years, guys. I think winning opening day is very important. I really do. I think it sets the tone for the season. I always believe that, and especially when you're on the road,
especially with the fans, fans even more than the team.
Absolutely.
I'm going to watch the next game.
There you go. And look, so our expectations, of course, it's a 7-game road trip, 4 in Texas, 3 in Baltimore. They go 4-3, and we're very happy, right?
So, who's next? Who's next up on the mound?
Bueller, right?
Hauk or
Hauk.
I think it's Hauk. Yeah, I think it's Hauk.
I'm dying to see Bueller pitch. Dying to see him pitch.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, he's a real competitor. Yeah, he's a dirt dog, I think.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Russell? You're smiling there.
Well, I just saw this sort of tweet, this post. Of course, after a win, John Henry is here post-game standing outside the clubhouse with Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow. No one loves a winner like the Red Sox leadership, but when they're losing, they run that poor Sam Kennedy out there to take the bullets left and right. Oh, my God.
Henry be found last year? I mean, he was MIA the whole year, right?
Yeah.
He was there today, though, right in the dugout before the game.
So he won't be at the bakery tomorrow morning?
No,
he won't be.
He's at some patisserie down in Texas there.
If he's back in the big bed, that could be the question there. You know?
Yeah, I doubt he is. That was a swift kick, I think, Timmy, out. That's what it felt like. But look, John Henry, you got to give him his props. He committed to Bregman. They spent some money this offseason, and they're ready to go, right? They're ready to roll. This is
does anybody know where are we salary wise? How much they're spending versus the rest of the league this year? Are we still in the?
I'd say they're in the middle.
Yeah, upper middle, like sort of upper the second, third, or something like that, right?
This team should always be in the top 20% of the league with the revenue that they bring in.
I'll bet you they're third in the AL East behind the Yankees and the Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays
definitely ahead of the Orioles and Tampa Bay.
The Jays toss money around. How do they draw that well?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, but
they had the highest payroll last year, even more than the Dodgers.
I think
that's
also
hard to believe anyone could beat the Dodgers.
But I think also
and they're dying to sign Vlad. I guess
I know
a last minute effort there today.
But yeah,
let's hope that doesn't go through.
I don't believe that bullshit that this deadline of opening day. These guys.
Oh yeah, it's just so you don't have to. The media gets off your ass, you can still keep negotiating behind closed doors, and you don't have to answer the question every day. Would they offer you anything more?
So, did you hear any numbers on that flat offer?
Well, he's looking for more than 500 million.
I think he stays.
10 years.
10 years, 500. Yeah,
I think he stays with
about right.
I don't think they let him go to the market.
I think he gets at least 10 years, 500.
Yeah, especially when there's 30 teams bidding rather than just one.
Yeah, but that's tough to turn down. There hasn't been people in the history of the world.
But see, I was
down $500 million.
He's already made $75 million in his career, so he's got the leverage. He doesn't have to jump at any money. He's not like say Crochet, who hasn't made probably 8-10 million in his.
Now, what did Soto get?
750.
Over how many years?
I don't know, 12, 13. So, guys, what is your biggest concern of the Red Sox right now? We finally got to see them play with the lights shining bright. What's the biggest concern right now, other than health?
I know mine is.
Yeah, go ahead, Timmy.
Close the situation.
Yeah.
I'd say the bullpen as a whole.
Like, I like when we have an established guy in the ninth. He's the guy. Koji, Papelbon, even who was the guy who ended up with the tell there and everyone started killing him.
Oh, the fire guy.
Yeah, I like a guy built for the ninth.
Well, I think they're trying to develop
like a special chemistry they have in their brain or something.
I think they're trying to develop Slayton. To be honest with you, I think that if this guy develops, I think.
But what does he have for pitches? I don't
know. He throws it about 98.
That's not gonna.
He seems to have good control too, Tim.
Yeah,
I like a guy that doesn't walk people. If you don't walk people, you're good in my book.
Yeah,
the guy, like a lights out cutter, seems to be the pitch for closers.
Yeah, I mean, you can get him on numerous ways.
Yeah.
It's a mentality. I mean, it
is.
Yeah.
I think probably the weak link in the lineup is Rafaela. Can he make enough contact? You just can't have a guy striking out that much playing every day. You got Anthony, so you can move some guys around, so you can bring him up. There's a backup on that. And then look, it would be nice if we had a really, really good defensive catcher who could hit a little bit. I think we've got a hitting catcher who's not very good at defense. And you want that staff to be helped by your catcher. So hopefully Wong has improved defensively enough that the staff can rely on him.
What's Wong's like in the league percentage on throwing out guys stealing?
Not high, and worse, he's just bad at framing.
Average. Yeah.
He's bad at framing pitches, so he gives away a lot of strikes, evidently.
That if you get against in the playoffs, that not being able to throw out guys stealing can really hurt you.
Does this stop
That's why they brought that guy from the Orioles in to be the new bullpen coach and catching coach, and Veritek got kicked to game plan coach.
Yeah, no, they just made up a special job for him so he could stay.
Run reduction. He's the run reduction advisor or something. He's got a couple of fancy titles.
So 90% of Red Sox trade talk always has Abreu involved in it. So it's not just me. Does that trade talk stop, or does that continue to be loud in the social media world?
No, I mean, look, I think it also depends on what you can get back. Look, Jared Duran is about to get very expensive for this team.
Yeah.
Very expensive. And we know that they're sensitive to price. And he's also an older young player, right?
Yeah.
So they're just going to be
29.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be looking at him and Abreu and Rafaela and saying, because one of them's probably got to go, right?
Yeah.
I can see Duran being very attractive to a lot of other teams.
That's a very good defensive outfield with Duran in left, Rafaela in center.
So that helps. That helps so much.
Yeah.
When the balls are hit, they're going to get caught. And maybe a couple that shouldn't get caught.
That's a way above average defensive.
Arm wise too. How are they arm wise?
Rafaela's
Abreu and
got a
Rafaela,
cannon.
Abreu's got a
Rafaela's got a
hose. I
cannon.
mean,
Duran
yeah.
doesn't really have a strong arm, but he's playing left field in Fenway half the
Yeah,
game.
I love a right fielder with a big arm at Fenway.
Yeah, it's upon reflection, I know obviously that I'm influenced by this game. Probably best to keep Abreu.
I mean, how often do you see a rookie win the Gold Glove? Gold Gloves are usually given out as senior service awards. You've been in long enough, they give it to you.
Well, look, the Red Sox are smart enough. Breslow's not smart enough. I'm sure they asked for Abreu in the White Sox deal, and he wasn't going to give him to him.
Give him credit.
I mean, right? And instead he gave him,
at least for today.
Do you think, Russell, that they gave him Montgomery instead of Abreu?
Oh, I have no idea. Probably not. If you're the White Sox, you want the youngest guys with the highest ceiling, right? So,
Most
and the
control for
cheapest.
cheap.
I mean, Montgomery is years and years away from getting paid, right? Years. So, I don't know. Who knows what they offered? The Sox were dealing from a position of strength, and they still are. Look, if Rafaela can't hit, then you turn him into a super sub, and you bring Anthony up, right? If it looks like you don't want to pay Duran or whatever, you could try to move him. If someone comes in and offers you the moon for Abreu, you could move him. One of those guys ultimately is not going to be playing outfield for the Red Sox probably by the end of this year, right?
Right. And DH is never going to be an alternative for the next 10 years.
Right. So I think, so that's a position of strength. That would be a great problem to have.
It probably won't be Rafaela where he's tied up to a very club-friendly deal.
No,
What was that deal, like 6 or 7 years?
Yeah, but you could turn him into a super sub. You could have him play
agreed. But that
4
means
days a week.
He'd be the guy that stays for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you would trade Rafaela necessarily. I think you just turn him into a super sub.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about Abreu? What do we see as his ceiling for homers? I mean, that swing, that looks like a home run swing.
I still think he's no more having a great year 30, but he's 20-25.
Yeah,
30,
I think that's right.
Take 30 all day.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be. I think he's 20 to 25, plays good defense, hits for decent average.
He'll hit 280, I bet you.
He's not going to hit lefties.
Take that.
He's never going to hit lefties well.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, look in the broadcast, Merlone, who's great. I just want to mention, I'm so glad he's going to be the full-time guy.
He's going to be the regular. Yeah.
He said what a surprise it was that Cora did not pinch hit for Ref Schneider with Ref Schneider for Abreu in the 6th or 7th inning. So props to her for leaving him in there, obviously, because it worked.
Cora did that last year. Remember the day his grandmother that died?
Yeah.
He left him in. He hit 2 home runs. And the second time he was up, it was against the lefty. It was the first time he'd faced a lefty all year and hit a home run off him.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that stuff. You got to let these guys, especially a second-year player with potential, you got to let him.
Yeah, the best thing, you can't be platooning Abreu in his second year in the majors. So you got to try to give him as many at-bats as he can handle. And if he can't do it, then you turn it into a platoon. But you got to give him 200 at-bats against lefties.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but then what do you do with Ref Schneider in the interim,
Just sit him
Who cares? He's a 5th outfielder type, 4th outfielder. He gets paid to sit on the bench.
I know. He's very happy just to eat sunflower seeds all day. Trust me.
Right.
He's the guy who said he wanted to retire.
He was going to retire. Right. Yeah. So I don't.
That was contract negotiation.
No, he didn't. No, they didn't give him anything extra. He just they gave him the $2 million. He's a good deal because he's a nice player. But yeah, Joe, we don't worry about the 5th outfielder too much. We worry about the stars in the team. Joe loves those 5th outfielders.
Well, no,
he loves to keep
everyone happy, and that's the manager's job. Now, we gave him the job of taking care of Devers earlier in an earlier show, and I think he did a very good job. So I'll give kudos to Cora on that.
Joe hates prospects and superstars. He doesn't like superstars. Nope.
Joe loves second quarterbacks. And in offensive line.
Bazooka Joe all day, every
Bazooka Joe. Oh my God. Bazooka.
Well, that's Scotty. Do you remember we sat there and watched him drag out a 9th inning? You remember that?
Yeah.
We sat there. We went, we were cutting out after like the 8th or something, and we stood there, and he I think we had a 5-run lead or something like that, and he just kept throwing ball after ball after ball
Joe
after ball.
Kelly, yeah.
But he ended up doing Joe Kelly. He ended up doing good in the playoffs, though.
Is he? I think
Joe
he's out of
Kelly
baseball
Fight
now,
Club.
Joe Kelly. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he is too.
yeah, he's just ended up beating somebody in the senior league at some point and getting into a fight. Great guy,
The
love that.
Dodgers kept him going for a long time.
Oh, they sure
Throw
did. He made some big money. All right, boys, we're going to go to the New England Patriots. Oh my God, you got to hand it to Brookline's own Bob Kraft. He has spent over $360 million in the last few weeks on players. And the latest is Stefan Diggs. And apparently the information about the deal is coming out more and more today. It really is 1-year deal. If he's trouble or if he's not any good, they kick him to the curb.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great deal.
Yeah.
I
Why
loved
not?
when I saw that. I didn't know that. I loved it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he walked away. But then no one else in the league offered him anything. So he came right back 3 days later.
You want a guy like him trying to earn some more money, right? Last thing you want to give a guy like him big guaranteed dough, right?
Yeah.
He's
especially coming off that injury.
He's kind of painted himself into a corner with his antics. It appears. We talked about last guy. The other teammates voted last guy on the team you'd want to date your sister.
Yeah, that's not good unless you don't like your sister.
At the same time, though, by the way, he was a captain last year in the Texans, and evidently really was just a stand-up guy last year. So look, these guys start to sense their mortality in the NFL, and all of a sudden they get straight.
Hey, for years I watched him catch balls against us and saying, "Why can't we have a guy like that?"
Right.
So now we got him.
Yeah. Right. And
Nick Caserio down there in Houston, he was getting on. They were on a thrifty kick, and he's getting rid of all his high-priced guys. Got rid of Laramie Tunsil to the Commanders.
Who's the last receiver the Pats had who's in Diggs' category?
Randy Moss.
Yeah, Randy Moss would be that.
It's been a long time, gentlemen.
Yeah, but all the other ones, good receivers we've had have been slot guys like Welker and Edelman.
Yeah, but I mean like
Amendola,
a legit NFL,
a real wide receiver. Those guys went wideouts.
It's been a while.
This is a great move. I mean, even if it doesn't work out, it's still a great move. To take that chance to with high return and low risk. The rumors are pretty strong that they're going to acquire, whether via trade or signing a veteran wide receiver. So, would you say that they have evaluated the wide receivers currently on the roster, and they're not really interested in any of them?
You're saying
Probably.
You're saying you thought they were still going to go after one more?
No, they are.
Yeah,
like Keenan Allen type. Yeah.
They don't seem to look like they're trading for anybody.
Well, I only mentioned that, to be honest with you, because I have this idea that they might try to go get Jacoby Myers back. I
think that Raiders will keep him, but is Keenan Allen still out there on the market?
Yeah,
I think so.
Like him.
Yeah. So, but if
he's a possession receiver, he's a slot guy who would take up Pop Douglas's spot, but you can put him out on the left side too. You can flank him out.
Because if Hunter's available at 4, you are going to pick him. I am sure of it.
I think he's going to be
on the right side, not your number one receiver.
I think he's going to be gone.
All right. So then they take Carter. I mean, you cannot trade. I'm against trading down, especially if 2 quarterbacks have been taken ahead of you.
Look, if 2 quarterbacks have been taken ahead, you're going to either get Hunter or Carter, and you take them. If only one quarterback is gone and both those guys are gone, then I'd say trade down, and
especially for a team who would want Sanders.
Exactly. Yeah, and at a minimum, you'll get a second round pick, right?
Yeah. Well,
at a minimum.
Then I assume the trade partner is probably going to be the Raiders at 6. And then
I don't know. The Raiders side got Geno Smith.
Yeah.
I don't think they're the trade partner anymore.
The quarterback's gone.
You may have to go all the way down to like 10 for the Saints to get somebody interested in him.
Yeah, you still gotta get a guy that can come right in and do something.
Well, then you're going to go if you're a 10th, you're going to go get a tackle. probably.
I would think so. Yeah.
Do we think that short arm tackle's going to be there? Is he the guy that
No,
There's
this other
like
guy,
three guys
Membo. Yeah, Membo
from
is another one
Missouri,
that's tested off the charts, right?
but he's only played right tackle.
Oh, we
Yep.
don't
But
want to do
he's
that.
a very good right
hate this,
tackle.
bringing a guy. If he's so good, why didn't he play left tackle in college then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm
Well,
not,
no, he just started there and he was very good. He only gave up 2 sacks in his entire college career.
Now,
Of course,
did I
that's
read
only
that
2.5 years, but
one of the other
This
top tackles also has short arms? Did I read that too?
they all kind of do. They're all.
my
It's
God.
not a big year for top talent
Tackles.
tackles. Anyways, there's a lot of guys that are second, third round caliber types, just no first rounders.
Oh, Joe, did I see you mention there's some good running backs in this draft?
lots of
Oh,
them.
yeah. Scotty's
Lots of
been
them, huh?
pushing that, but
Yeah, it is. It's very deep running back.
there's 2 that might go in.
Hey
the
guys,
first
I
round.
have to take a break here.
Oh, of course you do.
Like
Yeah, look,
that
I think
Jaunty guy. I love him.
yeah, you're not taking him in the first round though. Like you look, I
Someone
think
will.
somebody will, but the Patriots definitely shouldn't.
Yeah.
That is not a luxury they can afford.
Yeah, they have those 2 third rounders. Use one of them on a
Exactly.
round, I think.
Yeah. My guess is, look, the thing I like about signing Diggs is you're not desperate for a receiver, right? So this puts you in a position where you could trade down a little bit. You could, if Hunter's there, you take Hunter. If Carter's there, you take Carter. You could trade down, take a tackle, and then you could pick a receiver in your second with the second round pick or a third round
Yeah.
pick or something because you got at least somebody in
Well,
the
that
house.
Ted McMillan might still be there if you trade down to like 8.
Yeah.
He
Absolutely.
still be there, and then you
Yeah.
take
Absolutely.
you're getting the best receiver in the draft.
Absolutely.
Doesn't it
down
show
the-
you what a little
in the draft.
what a little money spent, how it changes the outlook and
Look,
your positions?
how would we have felt if they had snagged at least a decent left tackle, right? Just a B or even a B minus left tackle. We'd be sitting here saying, just take the best players available, right? That's the only miss in free agency is there were a couple guys that they maybe could have gotten.
Well, the
early.
Commanders pulled off the big one, getting Tunsil.
Getting Laramie Tunsil, right?
Yeah, the Patriots should have been in on that.
Yeah,
Well, I think they gave up. What they give? Did they give up a second, Russ?
something like that. But like, I think you'd do that if you're the
Oh,
Patriots,
yeah,
probably.
you're getting an All-Pro. And what are the odds that your second round draft pick's going to be an All-Pro? Just go back
Not that
and look
high.
at Polk last year and Duggar.
Not that high. Yeah.
I mean, you might get a starter, but you don't get all pros.
My
Look,
question.
we're not gonna win the division this year, but so they're okay. I don't have any major issues with where they sit right now.
Have you
And they
seen
just have
the
to
schedule,
pick the
Russ?
right guys. It's pretty crappy, huh?
It's the easiest schedule I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Nope. They've got the NFC South, so there's a guaranteed 4 wins right there.
Look, Vegas has it 7.5.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I'm leaning right now to. I was thinking 8 and 9.
Well, you better grab the over early.
Yeah, but I have to be honest with you. I'm so glad now because Russell, I don't think we're going to have to root against them this year.
No, I don't think so. I think they're going to be much better coached. They've got better players. They actually have some blue chip kind of prospects. So, yeah, I think that era is done, right?
How much excitement does Travis Hunter bring to the Patriots just on a PR level?
It would be really fun. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I mean, because he's a marquee name. He comes into the league a superstar. Whether he performs like that, who knows? But he is one of the biggest names in football right now. Would you agree?
Seems like it. Yeah. I mean, he's a unique talent. No one's played 2 ways like he played 2 ways.
Yeah.
These other guys were hobbyists in the second way.
Yeah.
And nothing tells me that he won't be available right now. It sounds like 2 quarterbacks are.
Sounds like it.
And then it
sounds
sounds
like
the Browns are taking Carter.
Well, I don't know though. The little bit of a glitch is, the Giants getting Russell Wilson. So I don't think it should stop them, but they literally didn't have a quarterback 4 days ago, like zero quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Now they've got one.
Yeah,
And there's still a couple of names out there that could land with people like, although I think Rodgers is going to end up with Pittsburgh. That just seems like a done deal.
Did you see the big rumor? I told Joe on the phone, but Russell, you see the big rumor is that Cleveland would trade with Cowboys. Cowboys would give them Prescott, and
I
Cleveland
can't
would give
believe that.
the second pick,
And they would take Sanders.
And
they're saving $60 million.
They would take Sanders. Yeah, they would take Sanders.
You know, I had an idea the other day of, I wonder. I had an idea the other day where imagine going to the Giants, Joe, and trading them Milton for to move up a spot, and then maybe you get a fifth rounder back or something. Like basically saying to the Giants, here's your, it's essentially it's the equivalent of a third round pick to move up one spot so that the Patriots make sure they get either Carter or Hunter.
Yeah. I still think he's more valuable as having a good backup quarterback versed in your system. Josh Dobbs is just training camp fodder.
But Joe, really the question is, and I guess we should
you'd have to draft someone else
for Scotty. Yeah, I know, but you can draft someone else. My point is, would it be worth it to you to give up Joe Milton to be? So Scotty, I had this idea the other day of, the Giants need a young quarterback. Would you give them Joe Milton to move up one spot so that you're guaranteed of getting Carter or Hunter in the draft?
Wow.
Why wouldn't we? I'd do that.
Yeah, but I guess because if you thought that he's equivalent to a third round pick,
that's exactly right. It's a third round pick.
Thinking
to move up one spot.
I don't think you'd be able to move up that spot in that high.
Yeah, but he's also he's a real person. They've seen him play.
I'm saying you're getting greater value for Milton than what you would receive.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're only dropping back one spot. And they're still getting whoever they wanted because
they still get whoever they want. Pretty much
the same people as the Patriots.
Right.
Well, nobody here is nervous that Joe Milton could really develop into something.
Scotty isn't.
No, come on. They know already. Trust me.
These QBs go down quite often, though.
Timmy. They put him out there to lose the game. They couldn't. They thought we'll put Milton in there. I mean, we criticize Mayo, but he put Milton in there because he thought, of course, he's going to lose the game. He stinks. I mean,
well, what do they do instead? He's played really good. He has a
pretty good record. He has the best record of all the quarterbacks on the.
Oh boy, here we go.
Just stop it! Look, I would personally put him on my back.
I don't know. That's a perfect record in my book.
Look. In draft day, Russell, you never know. Teams want to come out of there with a young quarterback. So I think his greatest value could be, you're right, draft day. Where
trade him to Cleveland. Trade and say, hey, we'll give you Joe Milton in our second, third round pick to move up so that we get whoever we want. I would do that.
I know you have to draft another QB.
Who, the Patriots? Yeah, they could draft a QB in the fifth round. Who the hell cares? I mean, Drake May is your future. Drake May gets hurt.
I have some affinity for Bazooka Joe, but I think that might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea, Russell.
Because he's just holding a clipboard, hopefully all season, right?
No, he's not. He's not the backup. Dobbs is going to be.
And it guarantees you the guy you want, and it guarantees the Giants the guy they want.
Yeah,
Russell. It would be ironic.
If they're watching, you might have just planted a seed, Russell.
And it would be ironic that the guy who cost us the first pick in the draft could end up getting us back to the second or third pick.
I know. That's remarkable. Look, he's a sixth round pick. If you could get something for a sixth round pick who didn't even play last year, that's unbelievable.
Well, however, has anyone brought this in? Do you think someone trades up to get Sanders?
Yeah, possibly.
That alleviates that issue then, right? Well, unless we really want Hunter, unless they have
if someone trades up to get Sanders, we're fine. But like my point is like, how about just taking the gun off the table and just say, here, we want the pick.
Well, that's why Tennessee is telling everyone and their brother that they're taking Cam Ward because they want someone to trade them that wants Cam Ward.
Look, Vrabel said we addressed the defense in free agency. We will address the offense in the draft. I mean, he literally told you what he's going to do. They want Hunter. There's no question in my mind they want Hunter. And Bob Kraft wants Hunter because Bob Kraft likes to sell lots of sponsorships and stuff. They want two big names. And Russ, I agree. If they think that Hunter's that in-between guy between the two quarterbacks and that top three picks, I think they do try to trade up.
Why not?
Do you think Carter's injury issue is looming large?
No, I think we've hit the stage with these prospects that we're nitpicking every single little thing around them.
So that they're ragged by the time the draft comes.
Yeah, they've got warts all over them by the time the draft comes. If the draft was 6 weeks ago, the guy would have been hailed as one of the best picks of all time, for God's sake.
So if you had to pick it right now, would you have the Miami quarterback going first, and then maybe Hunter second?
No,
it looks like Carter.
No, I think it's. I've actually heard a bunch of rumors that the Browns may take Sanders.
Wow. Is that right?
Bunch of experts talking about. I heard a guy
who did they just
Todd McShay. Todd McShay's basically said he thinks that the Browns are going to take Sanders.
They just traded for a quarterback. Who did they get?
Nobody good.
Oh no, it was just a middle of the road type guy.
Yeah,
going to replace Watson.
But then that works out perfect because the Giants, unless they trade, already have that kid Neighbors from last year that they they're probably going to get, and they probably going to go get Carter.
Right.
They wanted a Micah Parsons in that division, right? They wanted similar to that, and then you better not fuck it up and not take Hunter. That's all you have.
No, they will. They're not. This is. I think they got their heads on straight down there finally.
That it's public relations 101. You take the guy that's going to sell the tickets.
Oh my God. We were at the Pro Day, the BC Pro Day, Joe and I, on Monday, and Vrabel was there. He walks around like he's the king.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He struts. Right, Joe?
And everyone else runs following him. Wherever he goes, he's just the cock of the walk. I mean, he really is the big man on campus.
And he wasn't at Gillette Stadium. He loves being the coach of the Patriots so much. Clearly he loves this area.
Oh, he was strutting around with his retinue chasing after him. Oh, the whole time.
Oh my God. And
he didn't stay still at all. Couldn't stay still.
Timmy, you talked about Kendall and Chapillo from BC.
Yeah.
We saw them, in fact, Joe and I went to the bathroom and Chapillo was coming out of it.
He's gigantic.
Gigantic. Yeah. He's Nate Solder big.
Yeah. 6'9", I think.
I don't know.
My buddy Pat's kid played basketball for CM, and Trapillo played basketball for BC High.
Yeah.
And Pat used to come home after the game and said, they got this kid who's gigantic,
He's gigantic. He'd be a nice, what is he, a right tackle?
He plays tackle.
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna bet that he's got to be too big for a guard, too tall. But he'd be a nice pick too. And I think one of the Kendall or Chapillo will end up coming to the Patriots.
I think Kendall, they're talking second round.
No, Kendall's a 6th or 7th round pick.
Yeah,
really?
He's just an interior lineman.
Yeah,
really. Run-of-the-mill interior lineman, he looks like.
His old man was there, Pete, who played 15 years in the league, was a first-round pick. He looks like he could play right now.
Yeah, his dad is just as good a shape as he does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a fun day. It was fun, right? We had a good time, and it was very interesting to see these prospects. Run the 40. They do the lift the weights, do the shuttle runs and stuff. And look, these guys, man, that's nerve-wracking to know that one little test of endurance, it could cost them millions of dollars.
None of those kids even cracking a smile. They were all business.
Yeah, very
No
serious.
one having a good time for themselves.
All right, boys, we got to go to the Boston Celtics, and we're at a point now. I have to ask you because I mean, obviously these games don't matter. Is that Shireman anything? Because he sure looks like something.
He looks way better than he did earlier in the year in the summer league when I declared that guy's not an NBA player. He looks like an NBA player. Whether he's a 10th guy or a sixth guy is unclear, but he's got his confidence back. That's for damn sure.
Sure does. He looks like a guy that could replace Hauser.
I think that's
Yes,
what he's
that's
there
the
for.
idea. Yeah, I think that's right, Jim. Yeah.
So
And he just got to learn to play defense.
Yeah, they all do,
the
though.
big guys eat him up right now. He's got to learn to use his feet a little more, and he'll be fine.
Russell, they signed Hauser to a multi-year deal, right? So
They did at like 11 million a year. He's very tradable. Hauser is just a perfect size contract for them. And if you traded Hauser, you may get a late first round pick back for him.
Yeah.
that's what I was going to ask. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you may get a late for. It won't be a lottery pick, but he's signed for 3 years. It's a reasonable, mid-level contract. He's productive offensively. He can be a six man. He holds up on D.
He could be a starter on half the teams in the league.
He could be a starter on some bad teams for sure. Yeah, he's what you want. So I think
and he cost the Celtics, like, if you triple penalty, he's a $40 million man.
$40 million player for the Celtics, and he's only $11 million for another team, or 10 or whatever.
And Shireman gets what, 4?
Yeah, exactly.
Pick?
He basically saved $24 million by trading Hauser and getting a pick back.
Timmy, are you doing okay over there? I just want to make sure you're hydrated.
No, I'm just listening. I was kind of looking up Kendall on the phone here, seeing where they think him and Trapillo might go.
Yeah, Trapillo, I think third or fourth round.
Kendall, I believe, is rated higher than Trapillo, is how I always heard.
He's not. He's not.
So Trapillo played right tackle, but he could have played left tackle, O'Brien said. They just had a guy who was a left-handed guy playing left tackle who was very good. They had a good line at BC this year.
Yeah.
Kendall, interior linemen are a dime a dozen, Tim. That you can always get them.
Well, David Andrews, they took off the scrap heap when drafted.
Hey, he was undrafted.
Yeah, and he plays 10 years in the NFL.
Yeah, Trapillo's 6'8", 316, and Kendall's 6'4", 308.
Yeah, Kendall looked like a little boy compared to Trapillo when they were next to each other. I'm telling you, Trapillo is.
Kendall played center.
Yeah, that's where they thought maybe that he'd be a replacement for, and
the Patriots could draft him, as a long-term development at center, and fill in the guards, as a swing guy.
Russell, you talked about Drake May, them not treating Drake May well by getting him good players. Well, the Diggs deal has got to.
It helps. It definitely helps. Look, I think the one place that we all said at the very beginning is the best way to protect Drake May is to protect him with a good offensive line. So that's the work they've got to do. They know they need to do work here. So let's see what they come up with.
Got to be a super high priority.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you give him good weapons, he just gets it. If he gets it into the hands of these other guys, no one's going to bother him.
Does Polk or
get the ball out quick to Diggs, Douglas, the new guys, Hunter, whatever.
And a good running back doesn't hurt. A good running back doesn't hurt either.
Oh,
you think they take one of the top
guys? I know, but you can't. You're never going to win playoff games if you don't have a good offensive line. How many teams get through the playoffs with a crappy offensive line? Almost
we saw it
none.
This year. It was one of the trenches.
Almost
that game was one of the trenches.
Kansas City lost
that big offensive line. They do the tush push.
Yeah,
guaranteed 2 yards every time they do it.
KC lost that Super Bowl because Mahomes was running around like a chicken with his head cut off back there.
Yep.
Do we have any? Robinson and Wallace, the draft picks from last year, the ones we wanted, Russell. You wanted fat guys. You got 2 of them. Are they even going to make the team?
Robinson's got some potential. It's good. There's a decent amount of talk about Robinson being a guy that who could end up playing guard for them.
Is that right? Did you see
Yeah.
anything? Joe, did you see anything from Robinson last year that would suggest that
he got benched a couple times. Did he rookie mistakes? But it's hard to tell. It takes some experience and playing with the same people on a regular basis too. Helps what the guy next to you is doing, makes your job a lot easier.
Does Skarnecchia coming back into the picture help? It's gotta.
Mhm.
Well,
I mean, for years, he took.
Tim. He came in once a week as a consultant.
Yeah, but for years he could take 5 guys and by December have them play as a cohesive unit.
Yeah.
Like I mean, we've had a hodgepodge of guys for years on the line, right?
Yeah.
All through the winning years too. We did.
The wide receivers who were drafted, Polk and Baker, do either of them make the team?
Yeah, Polk's going to make that team.
Yeah, they're paying him. They will. And Vrabel said he's giving him another chance.
Yeah, give him a shot. Wipe the slate clean. Give him a shot. See what you got.
He's
You don't get anything from dropping that guy. No one's trading for him. So give him a shot. If he has a crappy training camp and is in shape, it's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, then you just jettison him. But give him a shot. Why not?
He was a stud in college, right?
I don't remember. That was a terrible.
He was a good player. I mean, that wasn't a guy that that wasn't a guy that everyone was like, oh my God, they way overdrafted him. That was a guy like, oh yeah, whatever, he's a decent pick, got decent grades in the pick. There were a lot of guys who thought he was going to be a good NFL player.
Everyone thought we were getting Xavier, and Kansas City jumped right in front of us when we stupidly traded back there.
Yeah, it's amazing how these guys can do one thing in college and just be somebody completely different in the NFL.
No,
it's a different game.
I know it just doesn't translate sometimes.
Well, look, it's clear that Vrabel is running that the personnel department, running everything. He's making the moves. Even Wolf this week admitted that his draft, other than Drake May, and of course Joe Milton, which is the irony of that, was horrific. He even admitted it.
We'll keep Elliott to draft quarterbacks, and that's all he'll do.
All right, boys, we got to finish up with the worst team in hockey right now. What do they have? A 9-game losing streak or something? Something incredible.
I don't see them winning another game. Yeah.
But they're just not losing. And we always start with Timmy with the Bruins. Timmy, they're not just losing; they're getting wiped out.
It's a sorry state. I mean, we are just so used to the Bruins competing, always competing. You go to a game, 9 out of 10 times you come home with the win. I mean, I know those aren't the odds, but when was the last time they put a lousy product on the ice?
I don't know.
A long time.
Been a long time.
Long time since Chara got here, right? I mean, that was kind of
back when they had the number 1 draft.
Yeah,
got Dougie.
Yeah. But this is as bad of a team as I can remember. They're losing games 7-8-2.
At least they're doing it out on the West Coast where games start at 10 o'clock at night and no one's watching. They're doing relative obscurity.
The troubling part is there's nobody in the pipeline.
No.
That's the troubling part. That's the worrisome part.
Well, I think that's why the trades for Coyle and
they better be doing their homework on this draft.
Sweeney get fired at the end of the season?
He's put such a good product on the ice for so many years. I mean, do you shoot the guy down? The drafting has been terrible. I mean,
that's why. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
All right, let's run around the room here. Timmy, does Sweeney stay or go?
I think he stays.
Russell?
He stays, but he should go. It's not going to happen. This whole management team needs to be turned over, if you ask me.
Yeah. Joe?
I think he stays. Sacco obviously is gone. He was just an interim coach, never anything more than that. But you need a turnover in management. I'd say Cam go. I'd keep Sweeney, and I'd get rid of half their scouts. Their scouts are not doing them any favors come draft time.
It's a good job. It's a good job if someone's looking for a good job.
Would you guys agree or disagree with this statement? The Bruins won't be a competitive team for 5 years.
Let's say 3. I'll say 3. The next year is going to be a horror show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And deliberately so, like the Patriots last year.
They got to go all the way. They got to fucking dive.
You're going to see a lot of empty seats at the Garden. Oh, my.
Well, there's a hardcore group of Bruins fans out there, though. But you're going to miss those, the extra 2,000-3,000 at the end, though. You know what I mean? There's some freaking hardcore fans out there.
There'll be some opportunities to move up to a better seat if you want.
You know, there's a million youth hockey players that nothing makes their day more than going to a Bruins game.
Yeah, I know. Well, look, it really has changed in the last year or two that we thought the Bruins had the greatest chance of winning the title. 2 years ago, we said the Bruins. Who's going to win the next title in this town? And I think all of us said the Bruins. And now, no shot. Who has the best chance? Of course, the Celtics.
Well, 2 years ago, they had the best record in the league, right?
Yep.
And yeah, they had in the history of hockey.
The President's Cup.
History of hockey. Yeah. They had the best.
The strongest goaltending in the league. I mean,
it's unbelievable. Well, that's our show for tonight. And that was a great show, guys. Thank you very much. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Thursday night at 7 o'clock for another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.